B'shas he was running for Napoleon, so he says that he was running for Napoleon. Amaisa over 130 days. Wow. The Alter Rebbe was running for Napoleon. Be Erev Shabbos Mevorchem Achedesh Elul till Yudbeis Tevis. It's a chesed of 4 months, over 4 months. So you have because it's Erev Shabbos Mevorchem. We don't know when the Rish Chodesh was then. But upon him, so given at a mahalach that goes Foshit Chodoshim. The Alter Rebbe was running, and Napoleon was also eager to find anything that belonged to the Alter Rebbe. When he came into the city where the Alter Rebbe left, and the Alter Rebbe already returned back to find out what's left in there. So after that, the Alter Rebbe they burnt the house, and when Napoleon came in, he rushed in to the Alter Rebbe's house, and he announced the reward that anybody that can bring anything that belongs to the Alter Rebbe. Although the Alter Rebbe left things, the Alter Rebbe left a lot of inyanim. He left behemoths, wood, tvua. It says even yain soraf, mashka. But on the way they also had mashka. It says that they had a bris on the way. The Mittel Rebbe had a boy on the way. He had a bris. So he says we had rice, retach, and good mashka. That's the given the bris. So Akoponim. So the Rebbe asked the question: why is it the whole issue? The Alter Rebbe went back, and the person cannot go back into the house if he's going on a trip. If he forgot something, has to get something, he has to actually ask someone else to go into him. As it's told the Meiser with Rav Zalman Gerari, that once he left to the plane, and they said that they delayed till tomorrow. The flight is delayed till tomorrow. He didn't want to go back home. So he wrote into the Rebbe. So the Rebbe told him. The Rebbe told him that he should learn a Perek Tanya. When a Perek Tanya wird machen for a nayim menschen, and b'meila it'll be considered like he's new. That he should learn a Perek Tanya, a chapter of Tanya, and that'll make him like a new person. So it's not the same person that left before, but a new person's coming in. Tanya das hat nicht gemacht. The argues that it didn't really change his personality. This was the Meiser of the Rebbe Gizok, which is an interesting error. That the Tanya is was macht das Shinoi. So the Rebbe asked the question, what's up with Dafke, the union of the slippers? So the Rebbe answers that B'shas comes the union that belongs to a Yid, even if it's a little thing. But the lowest part in the person, which is the okev, the Rebbe says the heel of the person. But still, the Rebbe says the okev of the person, this is something that belongs to the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe did not want it to fall into the Rishus, into the domain of Napoleon. And B'meila took that with him. And the Rebbe says we see the keach of the shoes of a person, as the Friedrich Rebbe tells the story in Tafshin Aleph Simchas Torah. Verbringen from the Rebbe, this whole thing is Bekeshet Halucha, that they walked in Williamsburg, in Williamsburg, in Lamed Gimel, 1973, and the Rebbe would dedicate a sicha for the ones that visited different neighborhoods to speak there in the shuls to bring joy. So the Rebbe then spoke about the union of Talucha, the Maila of Halicha Beregel, the Hidrich Banolim, the Afteira of the last day of Pesach. So the Rebbe said that we find by the Simchas Torah, that Simchas Torah Tafshin Aleph, the Friedrich Rebbe says that B'shas comes Simchas Torah, L'Maila, after Yidden dance the whole night, the Malachim come to say Shira, and they find shoes, torn shoes. They have no idea where it comes from. They come to Malach Mechol. Malach Mechol tells them, the shoes are from the torn shoes from the dancing Simchas Torah. That what Yidden danced, the shoes ended up in Gan Eden. So the Rebbe says that this is basically the Nekuda, that although it's Inyan of shoes, how this is an Inyan that reaches very high. This is, as the Rebbe explains also in a Maimer, that we say Shosali Kotzorki. He says, B'shas, Mashal, another person, by a Jewish nation. When a Jew puts on shoes every day, there's a special bracha that he makes, which means Shosali Kotzorki, that he gave me the needs. But what does it mean in a spiritual sense? It connects with the shoes, the spiritual shoes that the attribute of Malchus has. Nailo de Shchinta. It's called the shoes of the Shechina. It's like a certain concealment on Malchus. And therefore it says when it comes Shabbos, so it says Ritzei v'achalitzeinu. What is the inyan of achalitzeinu? Achalitzeinu is the inyan of chalitza. Chalitza means taking off the shoes. So the Chassidus explains why is it so? Because a whole week Malchus is enclosed within another vessel. Shabbos would say hachalitzeinu, take it off. We can have the hamshacha, the revelation, without a parsa, without a concealment. Akol ponim, this is one inyan that the Rebbe stressed when the Alter Rebbe ran away from Napoleon. And Alter Rebbes is also b'shas on the way when the Alter Rebbe was running. So in general, when it came to an intersection, they would ask the Alter Rebbe what direction to take. The Alter Rebbe would go down from the wagon, and with his cane he would lean, and he would decide what direction to take. It came to a certain point that the grandson figured that the Alter Rebbe is resting. He didn't want to bother him, and then he on his own made his own move. And after the Alter, they went a certain distance. The Alter Rebbe realized it. When he realized what was going on, the Alter Rebbe said he went the wrong way. The Alter Rebbe had a very great aggravation from that. The Alter Rebbe said then, praised is a grandchild that goes in the ways of his grandfather, and woe to the grandfather that has to go in the ways of his grandchild. And it cost the Alter Rebbe 8 years of his life. And as the Rebbe mentions that the Rebbe Marash, who was the fourth leader of Chabad, he had a son, Rabbi Avram Sender. He was 8 years old, he was an exceptional child, and it was right before his istalkus. He told his father, the Rebbe Marash, they should dress him in Big Day Shabbos, in Shabbos clothing. I think he said Krishma, he said Alter Rebbe's Nigen, and he was nostalgic. The Rebbe Marash figured that it doesn't say what, but it says he had a certain cheshma, a certain ashore, what he figured it was, the Rebbe Marash. So Tzedek said it was a neshama of the Alter Rebbe that came down to complete something these 8 years. And the Rebbe mentions the Nasicha, connects it with the other inyan, which means like the cheshma that the Alter Rebbe was going to go to 76. With 76, we find an interesting inyan. When we think about 76, there's the year of the Tzemach Tzedek's Istal Kufchaning Rechen and Dik. Rechen Tzemach Tzedek was 76 and something. From the end of Memtes to Tofresh Chavot. Chassidim also say Benegiyah to the Rebbe that the heart attack by the Rebbe was also in the Shnas Ayin Vov. It was point that year, the Shnas of the 76th year. I'll call upon him. There was also a story that took place by the Alter Rebbe, the Inyan of Tchias HaMesim.
But out of the answer that the Alter Rebbe came, this is not supposed to be.
That's something which you believe me mit. It's hard to understand, but the Tzemach Tzedek said it in Fartik, that he came down to be mashlim something.
No, I'm saying that the Alter Rebbe came back after he left the house.
Oh, he didn't go in. He asked someone else to go, and he just drove back, but he asked someone else to go in. And somebody else went in. Everybody traveled around. Maybe a neighbor.
What was he so afraid of Napoleon didn't have the risk of his life?
Napoleon was a chashiv.
He's risking his life. An old man. He's risking his life. Why couldn't he just?
But he was mischief. Now Napoleon was looking for something that belonged to the Alter Rebbe, and if he would have had something from the Alter Rebbe, he could have had control. He needed, and he wanted to win the power, the support of all the Gedolei Yisrael. He was doing everything to flatter them. I mean, in France, he says he's going to create a Sanhedrin for them, a whole Jewish court.
They were on his side.
Some were on his side. And that's why there was a Ma'aser Rosh Hashanah. Yeah, that's why there was a Ma'aser Rosh Hashanah that they made up. They're going to daven earlier, and they're going to blow shofar earlier, and they'll win. So the Alter Rebbe blew shofar before Shacharis, which means the Alter Rebbe won. And when you look in a letter, there's a beautiful letter from the Rebbe, Mittel Rebbe, writing to Rabbi Meisha, a 10-page letter in the Igros Kodesh from the Mittel Alter Rebbe, Mittel Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek. He's writing to Rabbi Meisha all the pratim of the war, the details, the names of the Russian generals who were close to the Alter Rebbe, stayed in the Alter Rebbe's house for a week, and then the orders they were giving, and then the Alter Rebbe running aher ahin. It's told that the Alter Rebbe, when he was running, he left Friday, noontime. They were in Krasna and they were already surrounded by the French. And the French were hitting the Russian army in the points where they were weak. In other words, there was one place the Russians had 40,000, the Russians had 70,000 soldiers. So they came with their group, 40,000 soldiers, the French, and they hit a place where they had only 8,000 soldiers. The Russians were only 8,000 soldiers. The Russians had 18 cannons, the French had 300 cannons. This was like out of proportion. And they were pushed, there was big battles. I mean, the Mittel Rebbe discusses, he was there